The Letter That Changed Everything. Beverly Hills, California, April 1963. Dean Martin's office gets stacks of fan mail every day. Marriage proposals, song requests, people wanting money, people wanting advice, people wanting autographed photos for their nieces, nephews, dying grandmothers. His secretary, Gloria, sorts through hundreds of envelopes weekly. Most get the standard treatment: form letter, signed glossy photo, Dean's signature stamped by a machine. But this one catches her eye. The envelope is homemade, addressed in careful teacher's handwriting, Nevada postmark, small town she's never heard of. Inside, 2 pages torn from a lined notebook, folded neatly. Gloria reads the first line and stops sorting. Dear Mr. Martin, my name is Helen Carter. I teach music at a small school in Nevada. 9 students, ages 7 to 13. She keeps reading. We don't have much, no record player, no radio that works, no way to hear music except when someone visits town and brings back stories about what they heard. Gloria's coffee goes cold in her hand. But we have your albums. Well, we have the covers. Someone donated them years ago, but the records inside were broken. So we read the song titles and imagine what they sound like. Gloria reads that line twice. They read song titles and imagine. I'm writing because last week I asked the children to write 1 sentence about their favorite singer. All 9 picked you, not because they've heard you sing, they haven't, but because your album covers make you look like someone who's having fun, and we don't have much fun here. Gloria sets down her coffee. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that somewhere in Nevada, 9 children believe you're the greatest singer in America, even though they've never heard your voice. Then at the bottom, 9 sentences in children's handwriting. Dear Mr. Martin, you look happy. I want to be happy too. Lucy, age 7. My dad says you're on TV, but we don't have one. I bet you're funny. Robert, age 10. I want to sing like you someday, even though I don't know how you sound. Maria, age 9. 9 children, 9 sentences, all believing in someone they'd never heard. Gloria walks into Dean's office. He's on the couch reading Variety, drinking coffee, wearing a cardigan and slacks. It's 2 p.m. Most stars are on set or in meetings. Dean's just reading. Boss, you need to see this. Dean looks up, takes the letter, reads it once, then again, then a 3rd time. He doesn't say anything for a long minute. Finally, they've never heard me sing? No. They have album covers? No records? Yes. And they wrote sentences about me anyway? Yes. Dean folds the letter, taps it against his knee. Act 1. Understanding the moment. To understand why this letter hit Dean Martin differently than the thousands of others, you need to understand who he was in April 1963. Dean Martin was 45 years old. He'd made 30 albums, starred in 40 movies, had a hit TV variety show watched by 30 million people every week. He was one of the biggest stars in America. And somewhere in Nevada, 9 children had never heard his voice. They believed in him anyway, not because of his talent, not because of his fame, because his album cover made him look like someone who's having fun. And they don't have much fun here. That detail stuck with Dean, haunted him actually. These kids didn't have much, no music, no entertainment, no way to escape their small desert town, but they had imagination, they had hope, they had belief, and they'd chosen to believe in him. Dean picks up the phone, calls his business manager. How much would a good record player cost, the kind that works? For what? For a school. Depends. Portable, maybe $150. Nice one, $300. Get the nice one, and get me copies of my albums, all of them, the good ones, the bad ones, all of them. Dean, what's this? And get me 20 albums from other singers, Sinatra, Ella, Nat King, Peggy Lee, Tony Bennett, the best. Kids should hear the best. His manager hesitates. This is going to cost. I don't care what it costs. Just do it. Dean hangs up, pulls out a piece of paper, starts writing. He crosses out lines, starts over, crumples it up, tries again. Takes him 40 minutes to write one page. Act 2. Dean's response. Dear Helen and students, thank you for your letter. I'm honored you picked me, especially since you've never heard me sing. That takes faith. Or maybe you're just bad guessers. Either way, I appreciate it. Someone's father has a camera. Takes one shot. That's all they need. Dean drives back to Reno. Doesn't mention the visit to anyone. Just another afternoon off. But on the drive, he thinks about Robert's question. We're nobody. How many people think that? How many kids grow up believing geography determines worth? He's been singing for 25 years, always thought it was just entertainment, something to pass the time, make people smile. Now he knows different. Music teaches, not because it's profound, because it reminds people to stop taking life so seriously. And sometimes that's the most important lesson. Act 5. What happened to Robert? Robert grows up in that Nevada town, graduates high school, goes to college on a music scholarship, studies education, returns to Nevada, takes a job at a small school, different town, different students, but the same one-room feeling. Rural kids, ranchers' children, kids who think nobody sees them. He teaches them the same lesson. You matter because you say you do. Uses Dean's albums sometimes, plays them on an old record player, tells them about the day Dean Martin drove 60 miles on his day off to sit with 9 kids who thought they didn't matter. In 2005, he writes an article for the local newspaper about that day, about what Dean taught him, about spending 40 years passing on that lesson. The headline, "The Day Dean Taught Me, Everyone's Somebody." He writes, I was 10 years old when Dean Martin sat in a chair beside my desk and told me I wasn't nobody. I'm 52 now. I've taught hundreds of students, and I tell every single one what Dean told me. You matter because you say you do. That's the whole game. The article runs once, small circulation. Most people never see it, but the 9 students from that day do. They're adults now, scattered across the country, different lives, different careers, but they all remember. They remember the record player arriving, the albums, the letter, and the day a movie star drove 60 miles to spend 4 hours with 9 children who thought they didn't matter. Act 6. The photograph. The photograph from that day still exists. Lucy, the girl with blonde pigtails who loved Ain't That a Kick in the Head, kept it for 60 years, framed it, hung it in her living room, showed it to her children, her grandchildren. In the photo, 9 children stand in front of a small schoolhouse. Helen stands to the left. Dean Martin sits in a chair to the right, cardigan unbuttoned, cigarette in hand, smiling like he's got nowhere else to be. Robert is standing next to him, grinning. They're all grinning. At the bottom, someone wrote in pen, "The day we learned we're somebody." When Lucy dies in 2018 at 62, her daughter finds the photograph, donates it to a museum. Not the Dean Martin Museum, the Nevada State Museum, because this isn't just about Dean, it's about what he taught. The plaque displays it with Robert's article, with the letter Dean wrote, with testimony from the surviving students. It reads, Dean Martin didn't just sing, he taught generations of Americans that you don't need permission to matter. This photograph captures the moment 9 children learned that lesson, not from a record, but from a man who drove 60 miles to make sure they knew they were somebody. Epilogue: The Lesson. April 1963, a music teacher in rural Nevada asked her 9 students to write one sentence about their favorite singer. It's just a classroom exercise. She doesn't expect anyone to read them. 3 weeks later, a delivery truck pulls up to the tiny schoolhouse. Inside, a record player, 40 albums, and a letter that changes how these children see themselves forever. 6 months after that, the man who sent it drives 60 miles through the desert to spend an afternoon with 9 children who thought they were nobody. He doesn't do it for publicity, doesn't do it for recognition, doesn't even tell anyone about it. He does it because 9 children believed in him before they'd ever heard his voice. And Dean Martin understood something most people never learn. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how many people know your name. What matters is this: when someone believes in you, you show up. You drive the 60 miles. You sit in the chair. You look them in the eye and tell them they matter, because that's the whole game. Dean Martin taught 9 children in 1963. Robert taught it to hundreds more over the next 40 years. And now those hundreds are teaching it to thousands, all because a movie star took the time to answer a letter from a teacher nobody had ever heard of, in a town nobody could find on a map, for 9 students who thought they were nobody. They weren't nobody. They were somebody. They just needed Dean Martin to drive 60 miles to prove it.
So I'm sending you a record player and some albums. Mine, mostly because I'm vain, but also some other singers because they're better than me, and you should know that. Listen to everything. Find what you like. Sing along, even if you sound terrible. That's the whole point. You're not just 9 kids in Nevada. You're 9 people who know what matters. That makes you smarter than everybody. Keep listening. Keep singing. And Lucy, age 7, who asked about being happy, here's the secret. Don't take yourself too seriously. Life's too short. Your friend, Dean. He seals the letter, ships it with the record player and 40 albums, doesn't tell anyone, doesn't call the press, just sends it and goes back to work. Act 3. The 60-mile drive nobody expected. 6 months later, October 1963, Dean is in Reno filming 4 for Texas, comedy western, him and Frank Sinatra robbing banks, fighting over Anita Ekberg. Typical stuff. The shoot is chaos. Frank's in a mood, the director is drunk, nobody knows what they're doing. Dean gets restless. One afternoon, between setups, he asks his driver about that school, the one with 9 students, the one he sent the record player to. Where is it? About 60 miles from here, middle of nowhere. Get me a car. Dean, you've got 2 scenes this afternoon. Tell him I'm sick. I'll be back tomorrow. His driver arranges a car. Dean drives himself. 60 miles through Nevada desert. No entourage, no photographers, no press. Just him in a rental sedan with the windows down, smoking a cigarette, following directions to a schoolhouse he's never seen. He arrives at 1 p.m. School is in session. He can hear music playing inside. His music. Everybody loves somebody coming through the walls. He parks, walks to the door, knocks. The music stops. Helen opens the door, sees Dean Martin standing there in sunglasses and a cardigan, and her knees almost give out. "Mr. Martin, hope I'm not interrupting." The 9 students are frozen, mouths open. One boy drops his pencil. It rolls across the floor. Nobody moves to pick it up. Dean steps inside. The room is small, one big space, 9 desks, wood stove, chalkboard, American flag. And in the corner, on a table, the record player. His albums stacked beside it. Sinatra, Ella, Nat King Cole, all there. "You've been using it." Helen finally finds her voice. "Every day. We listen during lunch. The children take turns picking songs." Dean walks to the record player, touches it like it's fragile. "What's your favorite?" A small voice from the front row. "Ain't that a kick in the head?" Dean turns. A girl, maybe 7, blonde pigtails. "Lucy, you wrote me that sentence about being happy." Lucy nods, face turning red. "Well, that song makes me happy too. Good choice."